Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Neue Nationalgalerie. We're very happy to have you here tonight for the myth of Brancusi, art, identity, and politics of representation, presented by the artist, curator, and educator Alexandra Croitoru. Before I introduce Alexandra, I would like to make a few acknowledgements. So first of all, we would like to thank the Romanian Cultural Institute, especially its Berlin branch, for their financial and organizational support of the Brancusi lectures and the program. Thank you so much. And a special thanks also goes to our event team, Gregor Kwak and Esther Madubuku. Without their support and commitment, we simply could not have realized such an extensive program. So thank you both. And they already organized our next event, which will take place on June 24, a concert of Socrates by Eric Satie. And we hope to see some of you again in 2 weeks for this special event here. So, and now it's my pleasure to introduce you Alexandra Croitoru. Based in Bucharest, Alexandra has been an influential voice in the Romanian contemporary art scene for many years. Her work has been exhibited internationally at institutions including LACMA in Los Angeles, the Brooklyn Museum in New York, and MUMOC in Vienna, among many others. She's also a professor at the National University of Arts in Bucharest. And tonight, Alexandra will explore how Constantin Brancusi evolved from a modernist sculpture into one of Romania's most powerful cultural symbols. Her lecture explores the connection between art, identity, and politics in Romania. So please join me giving a warm welcome to Alexandra Croitoru. So the word is yours.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you very much for the invitation. It's a great pleasure to be able to visit this exhibition. I saw the one in Paris as well, the one in Timișoara in 2023, and I think each of them brings something new and unexpected to the Brancusi reading. So I'm happy to have been able to visit all of them. My research into Brancusi was not from an art historian perspective. As mentioned, I'm an artist, and I'm mostly interested in Brancusi from a cultural studies perspective, how his image was connected to the one of Romania. So I started my research on Brancusi with curatorial project that I did together with Ștefan Tiron, a friend. We submitted an application for the Romanian pavilion in Venice, and we were thinking about the national pavilion and what it means to be a national artist. And this is how we started to look into Brancusi from this perspective. Then I continued with my PhD research on this topic, and I also published a book called Brancusi, An Afterlife, that sums up the research. I should say that this was 10 years ago, and many things happened in between, and I will also present a little bit about them in the end. So I will start with a short text about the relationship between Brancusi and Romania, or between Romania and Brancusi mostly. And then I will present you some images that we can discuss, and then in the end I have one more surprise if the technical situation will help us. Okay. So I will discuss Brancusi's reception in Romania, starting with 1904. After studying at the National School of Fine Arts in Bucharest, the artist chose to move from Romania to Paris, the center of artistic emancipation at the time. The sacrifices he made in order to arrive at his destination have since been transformed into legend. Once he arrived, he started integrating into the circles of Parisian avant-garde. From 1910, he exhibited in the Salon des Indépendants, and from 1913, he gained worldwide fame through connections with the US world. In Romania, there was real, albeit sporadic, interest in the sculpture prior to his confirmation of his major role in Western culture. His name is mentioned in a number of press articles, and in 1910, he was even caught up in a generational conflict in Bucharest's official art scene. In the exhibition of Tinerimea Artistică, which was like an artist society, the wisdom of the earth was part of a group of works exhibited separately that had a negative reception, and the artists in question were excluded from the show by the exhibition committee. This moment is identified as being essential to the paradigm shift and the acceptance of Eurocentric modernism in Romania. It is obvious from the press of the time that Romanian intellectuals had already sanctified the sculpture in the interwar discourse, and the official policies of the period also reflect a positive attitude towards the artist. The fact that Brancusi enjoyed genuine appreciation in Romania is also proven by the repeated and insistent invitations for him to create public monuments, even if the greater part of these commissions never materialized. Commissioned in 1935 by Aretita Tărescu, then wife of then Prime Minister of Romania and chairwoman of the National League of Gorj Women, the only public monument that Brancusi realized in Romania was not officially inaugurated in Târgu Jiu until October 1938, during the dictatorship of King Carol II. The artist did not come to the very low-key ceremony, which was attended by only a few local politicians, and there were very few echoes of the event in the political and cultural press. King Carol II was cultivating a specific artistic and ideological style close to that of sculptor Ivan Mestrovici, who received all commissions for the regime's public monuments. In the same period, although Brancusi had been promised an entire room, his contribution to Romanian pavilion at the Universal Exhibition of 1937 ended up being very limited. The shadow that fell over Brancusi's work in Romania during the regime of Carol II continued during the Second World War, when the artist became a recluse in his Paris studio, and deepened after the war during the People's Republic of Romania. In the 90s, art historian Barbu Brezianu put forward a theory according to which the donation of Brancusi's studio had been rejected by Romanian officials. He published in Revista 22, a magazine, a document of the Romanian Academy from 1951, which criticized Brancusi, although it did not mention any donation. The theory gained credence against the backdrop of virulent anti-communism of that period, but at present there are voices that note the lack of any documents to support Brezianu's theory, and which present the attitude towards Brancusi at the time as rather one of indifference, as the official attention was then focused on the aesthetics of socialist realism. The first steps toward official recognition of Brancusi were the inclusion of two of his sculptures in the National Gallery of Bucharest's Museum of Art in 1950, followed by a decision of the Union of Artists to make Brancusi a member with full rights. In the period that followed, discussion began on the possibility of organizing an exhibition in Bucharest to mark the artist's 80th birthday. The exhibition opened in 1956 at the Museum of the People's Republic of Romania, the Art Museum. In the same period, the Romanian state included in the national heritage the sculptures now housed in the collection of the art museums in Bucharest and Craiova. So the official recognition of Brancusi in Romania started in the art world with the exhibitions of '56 and continued at the political highest level. For instance, in 1966, when Nicolae Ceausescu visited Oltenia, his itinerary included the Târgu Jiu Monumental Ensemble, where he gave a speech in front of the Endless Column. This official recognition became increasingly present in the public consciousness, perpetuating itself after 1989 and coming down to the present in extremely various and creative forms. Although the homages paid to the sculpture served different agendas, the result was the same, namely the birth of the cult of Brancusi as a national artist. His rehabilitation was based on the connection between his work and Romanian folklore, a connection that was presented to the public via every means possible and repeated on every possible occasion through every media channel. For example, starting with the 1960s, various international academic conferences were held, which brought together Brancusi specialists of every stripe. Artistic events were organized, providing an opportunity for contemporary artists to reflect on Brancusi's aesthetics. There was intensive publication of writings about the sculpture, academic texts, but also articles in popular press, thereby encouraging a heterogeneous overproduction of exegesis. An ornamental style inspired by Brancusi was even developed in architecture. Such recycling of Brancusi's motifs also occurred in various official images of state communication, as we will see in a few minutes in the images that I've prepared. In the 70s, in 1970, the Museum of Art in Bucharest organized the Brancusi retrospective, at the opening of which art critic Ion Frunzeti declared, "Brancusi the Romanian is a universal value. Brancusi the universal is Romanian. He would not have existed without his great forerunner, which is the Romanian village." In 1971, the Constantin Brancusi Memorial House was inaugurated in the village of Hobița, in a house regarded as representative of the architecture specific to the region in the 19th century, which was bought from another villager and relocated to the plot of land that had belonged to the sculptor's family. From the 70s, the reclamatory discourse constructed around Brancusi's connection with Romanian folklore went hand in hand with proto-chronist strategies that aimed to impose Romanian values nationally and internationally, based on their originality and the idea of Romanians being precursors in various areas of universal civilization and culture. After the events of 1989, the annexation of Brancusi's image to Romania became more and more visible in the practices of reconstructing the country's identity, whether domestically or in relation to the West. Such image capital becomes highly important in the context of policies of national identity. Globalization, perceived as a national threat, generates a competitive nationalism based on the concept of location of performance, which contributes to the instrumentalization of culture in various national marketing and branding strategy. Over the years, Brancusi became part of the cultural strategy to promote Romania's image, in which he is employed to generate international recognition and prestige, being caught up in the mechanism of national promotion alongside folkloric production and touristic attractions. From the marketing perspective, the name of a country is viewed as a brand, and the image of a country influences consumers' perception of the products it exports, the country of origin effect. But this perception at the international level also works the opposite way. The image of a product brand affects our image of the producer country. The figure of Brancusi, an artist internationally recognized and appreciated, had been used as a brand that might positively influence perceptions of Romania, both at official political level and in national branding campaigns. And now I would like to present some images that will illustrate a little bit the mechanism of appropriation that I was talking about. Yeah, this actually, I wanted to have this as a background for my text, but I forgot about it. It's actually a sculpture that was inaugurated in 2001 when was declared an official Brancusi year in Romania. And a lot of, public monuments and festivities went down at the time as well. I made a selection of some examples of official state representation before and after 1809 to kind of follow the development or the narrative of these usages of Brancusi's work or figure before and after 1809. So the first one is from the 60s, the other one is celebrating the National Day of Romania, in the 90s, so 1 year after the change of the system. This is an example about, on money. The one is from 77 with a column in the middle, and the one from the right is from the 90s as well. And in 2001, they marked the Brancusi year with these anniversary coins. The National Bank of Romania, the National Bank of Republic of Moldavia, they printed, or I don't know what is the name, special editions of this collector's coin with Brancusi. This is, on the left, you see the logo of the publishing house in the 80s, and on the right, medical center from the 2010 that still exists. I go there sometimes for my mother. This is the architectural ornamental style that I was talking about. In the 70s, they started working with these panels, prefabricated panels, to build a block of flats, and some of them were using the patterns from the gate of the keys and from the endless column, like, as you can see here. This is a more interesting piece of architecture in Iași. It used to be like a cultural center. Now it's full of different small businesses. As you can see, Steph showroom. This is an example from the 2000s, sorry, when the government decided to name a neighborhood Brancusi. It was a special kind of housing complex for very young people, so it was cheaper to buy a house there, and it was advertised, and actually, yeah, one of the few housing initiatives that the government had since '89, and it's called the Brancusi neighborhood. All the streets are named with works. This is the table of the Science Alley. The Brancusi Medical Center is also in this area, so it's a new neighborhood built in the 2000s on the western part of Bucharest, I think. This is the presidential plane in the 2000s that was called Brancusi, of course, branded beautifully with a column. These are some examples from the printed matter, let's say. One is a quote from Nicolae Ceausescu from his speech in front of the endless column that I was mentioning, and the other one is a book that was published, I think, in 2000, or no, it was in the 90s, and 90s, yeah, in collaboration with the Department of Public Information of the Romanian government, and the book is called Brancusi the Romanian. Funny enough, I discovered this book at the Kandinsky Library in Paris, and it marked the visit of then President of Romania, Emil Constantinescu, who thought of bringing this book with his signature for the Pompidou Center. It's, yeah, maybe we'll come back to the Pompidou Center and the Romanians that were visiting the Brancusi studio. This is before '89, so Marx, Engels, and Lenin using the bird in space, and the other illustration using the endless column to illustrate a poem about the future of Romania, something about communism and peace. And I think it's very interesting, the design of this illustration in particular, and how the column structures the whole symbolistic of the reconstruction of the future. This is from Political Communication, 2012-2014. It's a social party, PSD, that used his endless column in logo in the campaign, and before that in one other political union that actually starred this guy, Ponta, that you see on the right, who is from Oltenia, from Gorj, where Brancusi was born. So it's also a local connection. It employs a lot politicians that are from the area, or even from Craiova, where Brancusi studied during high school, or I don't know what we consider now that age. And so they used the column for the logo that says, "Proud to be Romanians." This is from the EU Parliament in Brussels in 2001. I think it was a celebration of Romanian National Day, where they decided to focus on Brancusi. They made this fantastic scale replicas of the monumental ensemble that they presented with, of course, some touristic photos and some wine, very important. And here you can see one of the Romanian members of the parliament who is the daughter of ex-Romanian President Traian Băsescu. Here is another example in Strasbourg, in the European Parliament in 2012. This is an exhibition that only presented photographs, and Doina Lemni, I think, was involved. I see her in the photo in the left. And I think it was around the time when she was making lobby for including the monumental ensemble in Târgu Jiu into the UNESCO heritage, which didn't happen, I don't know, for many reasons, but one of them, from what I understand, is that the ensemble is not grouped in one place. You have the table of the silence and the gate of the kiss in one park, and then you have to go through a long way through the city to get to the endless columns. So when they said that it's hard to mention a site, UNESCO site, when you have half of the city in the middle of it. This is from 2016. It was a fundraising campaign for the wisdom of the earth that was recuperated by the private person who owned it, and they wanted to sell it. So the state had the preemption, or I don't know exactly the term, so the first right to offer, I don't know, to buy it. So the state didn't have the money. They made it a fundraising campaign. This is from the Facebook account of the then Prime Minister Dacian Cioloș. This is the government building. It's not a simulation. This is how it was packed with the banner for the campaign, and the campaign was named Brancusi is mine, and the text says Brancusi is yours like this country is yours. And of course, we all donated for this campaign. I remember that year I was part of an exhibition which questioned the legacy of Brancusi in Romania, in Meneare, curated by Valentina Iancu. And the fee that I got from participating in that exhibition, I donated it to this campaign. How many? 10 years passed, and they didn't buy the work, they didn't give the money back. I think they needed to raise 11 million euros or something like this, and they managed only 2 million, which anyway, it's enough, and they never gave the money back. So another, failed campaign. And this is, of course, from Timișoara Cultural Capital in 2023, where the first major show in Romania after 1989 was organized by a private foundation of a businessman. Which is interesting in itself. And of course, the whole program was crowned by this, the Brancusi exhibition. And maybe, I don't know, is it a coincidence that after this exhibition in Timișoara, I don't know, Centre Pompidou decided to present. Also in Paris, I think the last big exhibition of Brancusi before this one was in '97, so it was really a long time since they focused on him in Paris. But yeah. Now something more fun, if this was not fun enough. This is the Brancusi baguette. There are some people, I don't know, advertising campaign who also take in consideration this double identity, Romanian and Parisian, and they play on this. Of course, the shape of the baguette was structured like endless, a little bit, like the endless column. This is a restaurant, traditional restaurant in Bucharest that had a stage where traditional music was played for the guests, and cum se cheamă, drapes were decorated with a Brancusi kiss column and table. Probably most of the works that are used in this kind of appropriations are the one from Târgu Jiu. And anyway, a lot of Brancusi, as you know, and then as you see here, he worked a lot on one specific visual component. So you have a lot of columns, a lot of kisses. Table of the Silence, I think maybe there's only one. I don't know. Oh, așa. This is public furniture in Craiova. Some of them you don't know if they are vernacular or established by the city hall. I guess this is more of totally vernacular. So the column was used a lot recently in these private homes that use this pattern. This is from the 80s in the Pitești. It was some sort of replica of the Table of Silence between the housing units, socialist housing units, and I think it's still there. This is something more interesting. It was a campaign advertising for a bank, a Romanian bank that celebrated 150 years of some sort of existence, even though during communist time it was not really a bank, but they anyway celebrated this. And this was, I think, 15 years ago, before AI, and the problem was that they used Brancusi in this deep fake situation, and in a video that was broadcasted on all the major channels, Brancusi was telling some of his wisdom words and promoting this bank. So I think this was the most crazy example that I've seen. I don't have the video here. This was in Timișoara, actually, in front of the museum, Museum of Art that was housing the Brancusi retrospective or major show. And Lidl made these displays, which featured some of Brancusi's culinary preferences, and there were some, I don't know, Romanian products like schnapps and polenta, and anyway, it looked quite strange, not even like merchandising, or I'm not sure what was happening here, but the merchandising was completely wrong. But they were main sponsor, I think, to the show. This is a campaign also very old. How does the creative Romanian look like? And I was actually looking at some photos in the exhibition, and he was really good-looking hipster guy at the time, no, with this beard and sunglasses, and I think it was just natural for the Romanian cool guys to try to identify with him. This is something more delicate. It's a right-wing fascist movement that is operating maybe more and more official in the last years. This is from one of the celebrations that they are organizing every year, and as you can see, the pattern is there in the middle. And it's interesting, we will get this to the end, how the political mix also with the church in many cases into this weird Brancusi appropriations. This is from Paris, going back to the Brancusi studio. Apparently it was a thing for Romanians to put the diacritics, or what is the name in English for these special characters that are missing. And this is something that, of course, has to do with national identity and specific with language. So I'm not sure if now this is happening, but at some point, apparently it was usual that you could see some of these things. And I wanted to come back to the studio in Paris, where I don't know how I started to look through the guest books. And most of the messages were about the fact that that Brancusi is Romanian, that the French don't acknowledge that. Mostly Romanians, frustrated that his Romanian identity is not put into the light in the Atelier Brancusi. And actually I was very curious to see more, and I made a work with this in the end. And Doina Lemni was in Pompidou still at the time. I was in a residency in Paris, and I asked if I can see more of these guest books. And first they said yes, but then it took forever to get approval, and then they didn't let me make photos. So I transcribed a lot of these messages that I used in a work, but anyway, it was a very interesting experience coming back to the reception of Brancusi within the Romanian community. Hair, fashion, yeah, I've seen a lot of tattoos with the Brancusian patterns, shoes. This was a project for Miss Romania. You can see here. This was he's a pop singer that made this photo, and I don't know, it was a huge scandal. The city hall of Târgu Jiu banned him for setting foot in the city ever. This says Romanians have balls. So all kind of memes before the meme and after the meme concept, they are growing every day. This is also funny how he can be used in totally different discourses. On the left side, you see a book wrote by the Patriarch of Romanian Orthodox Church. This is a text that a lecture that he delivered in Iași when he was made doctor honoris causa in the Iași University. So the Patriarch wrote this book about Brancusi Christian Orthodox sculpture. And on the right side, you see one of the publishing houses that focus on, I don't know, yoga, esoteric publication that is named Aphorisms of Brilliant Artist and Yogi, no, Romanian artist and yogi, Constantin Brancusi. And yeah, of course, this yogi narrative, I think, started because he had a book in his library that was then catalogued, and it became also a fantasy of the yogi community. And last but not least, this is the cover of a magazine connected to a kind of revival movement, a nationalist movement that considers Dacia and kind of denies the Roman colonization, and it's usually, when you have this kind of mix story for birth of a nation. Usually, you have the pro-European that focus on the Roman, Latin legacy that the Romanians have, and the ones that are more nationalist, they focus on this Dacian. And they had Congress, of course, dedicated to Brancusi in 2012. So as you can see, he was really used in all kinds of, I don't know, what time is it? Because I wanted to maybe show you a little bit of this story that I followed for my PhD research. Laurian Stănchescu is a writer, and he had this crazy idea to repatriate Brancusi's remains to Romania. And he managed to bring together the realms of, as I said, politics, church, entertainment, different institutions, cultural institutions, and he was doing this lobby, and I think he almost managed to convince everybody until at some point when he fell into oblivion. So he started from Sarmisegetuza, which is the site of the Dacians. This is the connection that I was. He started lobbying with this culture walk. Of course, references Brancusi's way from Bucharest to Paris, which supposedly was on foot. Probably not. And not his, of course, it's just a photo. But it says 500 kilometers on foot from Sarmisegetuza to Bucharest to remember the Romanian culture and the Dacian legacy. Then he started something with Brancusi. On the steps of Brancusi, he started to organize some public gatherings with, I don't know, at first not so many people, but still there is one politician there that supports him. Then he started to organize some events in Hobița, at the memorial house, and he's already doing lobby for repatriating the remains. The poster, it says, like a quote from Brancusi, "I die with my sad heart because I cannot go back to my country." And he's organizing like religious memorials at the memorial house in Hobița. It's funny how they use this panel with the works for the, yes, this traditional thing that Christian Orthodox are doing to remember their death. And then he started apparently this walk. He wanted to go to Paris by foot to bring attention to this problem. He, in Târgu Jiu, so from Hobița, which is not far from Târgu Jiu, he apparently walked. He didn't walk because I was there, to Târgu Jiu, where they had a big celebration with, as you can see, this is the mayor, a lot of people from the city hall. He always used traditional music and these speeches. This is, yes, another kind of to mark the walk in Craiova, in the high school or school, in the school where Brancusi studied. Here he shows some earth that he took from the grave of Brancusi's mother from Hobița, and he's planning to take it to Paris to reunite Brancusi with his family. Here is in front of the government building, protesting. It's funny, this story, how he is all alone in this area. And yeah, here is with the Ministry of Culture. Here is again with the Prime Minister, Victor Ponta, and then he managed to organize a show in a movie theater celebrating 137 years since the birth of Brancusi, where he managed to have, not all of them came, but the Prime Minister was supposed to be there, was in the program, the Patriarch of Romanian Orthodox Church, the President of Romanian Academy, musicians, I don't know, different kind of other cultural and ministries, and so this was the highlight in 2013, and then I think the people in the government realized that this is a very dangerous diplomatic issue, that they were leaving this guy to go on with his project. And we come back to the 2026, which is again National Year of Brancusi. So 25 years ago was National Year of Brancusi, now is again. And what is more interesting, actually, for me, is that next year will be 70 years from his death. And his work will go into the public domain, if until now was not public enough. So I think there is a lot more to come. Starting with next year. I'm very curious what will happen. And now I think I wanted to end with this presentation that Dan Perzhovsky made in Bucharest this spring. He covered the windows of this building with his collection of Brancusi appropriations, and he is one of the people who is updating his collection. So you will see here much more than I showed here. So these are the panels that Dan Perzhovsky was agreed to present here. As you can see, he collects also images from the art world, but he is juxtaposing them in a way that you can't really I don't know, see the difference somehow. I think you can go much faster. And this is the sculpture in Oradea that you also saw in the, this lady is saying that I kneeled in front of the endless column in sign of respect of what Brancusi did for the Romanian nation. These are from Paris exhibition. No? Yes. Of course, now there has been a lot of contests for children, drawing contests, focusing on Brancusi. There's been a lot of public funding for different kind of memorials and honoring of Brancusi, and of course in fashion, in music, in all the creative industries. You can go faster. Yeah, a lot of, it was a TV show that mentioned that for the New Year's Eve there will be a lot of weddings in the Gate of the Kiss. I think this is the one, like 20, I don't know how many weddings they were planning for 18. For the New Year's Eve, different kind of I can't name them replicas, interpretations of the symbols, patterns. So Dan Perzhovsky and Lia Perzhovsky, they have a retrospective in the space of the City Hall, and I noticed that they really are using this methodology of collecting things and rearranging them and working with this found footage. And I think this is why Dan was maybe the most serious of us that continued with collecting this kind of appropriations. Part of my, or at the end of my PhD research, I organized some exhibitions, three exhibitions that I worked with artists who are interested in critically commenting on this phenomenon. One was in Cluj, in Plan B Gallery. One was in Timișoara for the Art Encounter Biennial, where I collaborated also with Dan Perzhovsky for that show, and one in Sfântu Gheorghe that was kind of ending of the story. I like this, the polenta. The polenta. This would have been good for the Lidl advertising. Here you see again my country, Dacia, and of course a sort of endless column. Sky is the limit somehow, and I think from next year we will see even more surprisingly Yeah, but this is from France, so. But still they use the special characters, so good for them. But this is about the campaign. Dan Perzhowski was really present in this campaign to raise money for the wisdom of the earth. This was the Ministry of Culture at the time, Corina Șuteu. And it was funny because in the exhibition that I mentioned, that I donated my fee for the campaign, so it was in 2016, Dan Perzhowski had a ball where people could donate money. So he was fundraising for this campaign, and then he went to the bank and put the money for the campaign. And now, after 10 years, after nothing happened, he made a performative intervention and put back the ball with the money so the people who donated could come and get them back, because the government actually didn't do that at that time. Okay, so this is my PhD research in Romania, and I see that Dan included it in his collection. And this is an image from the one with the walking stick from the exhibitions that we've made. Yeah, I think, maybe that's about it. And if there are questions or comments, and we can watch a little bit more. I'm not sure how much. This is also the drawing of Dan in the exhibition I mentioned. Maybe I should say that this in Romania is a very sensitive topic. In one of these exhibitions that I curated, a woman came and hit one of the artists because she felt that we are mocking the very important cultural symbol for Romania. But of course, what we are interested in, it's not Brancusi or Brancusi's oeuvre, which we all appreciate, but the way he and his works are used in different kind of contexts connected to identity building in Romania. And not many people can understand that. They feel like it's a blasphemy. Okay, thank you for your attention.
Hi, thanks a lot for the presentation. I actually have a question about the name, because I've noticed that you are using Brancusi, or in Romanian we would say Brâncuș, and I'm curious if this is because he lived most of his life in France. Is this how is he mostly known international? Would this have been how he would have referred to himself? I don't know anything about it, that's why I'm asking. Thanks.
I'm not sure we know how he would prefer it. Probably, I think maybe something more French, because he lived most of his adult life there. But I use it because it's easier for international audiences to connect with the word. But in writing, I always use with special characters.
I have just one question. So I was wondering if when Brancusi was alive, if this reception already started, not this kind of pop cultural appropriation, but something like a kind of people already started to work on his themes or in his field, actually.
Yeah, as I mentioned in the first part of the presentation, it started when they wanted to organize the exhibition for his 80th birthday. So very late. Then he died after this exhibition that was organized in Bucharest. So this is the moment that marked actually the revival of Brancusi after the really Stalinist period where only socialist realism was preferred. But then, since the 56 or 57, it gradually started to be recuperated in the Romanian cultural scene, and then from the 60s, mostly 70s, 80s, also in the political discourse. So what we see today is something that actually started in the 50s. So he was alive at the time when this exhibition was organized in Bucharest, and they wanted to bring him, but he was already very old and sick, so he didn't really come.
Thank you. Hi. So in terms of these appropriations, do you see themes in the kinds of people and the kinds of causes that appropriate his works?
I think this is the most interesting in his case, because everybody, it's like the campaign from 2016. Brancusi is yours, like this country is yours. So Brancusi belongs to everybody in Romania, and they can use his figure as they see fit, from what I followed until now.
I wonder, is there knowledge about Brancusi's relationship to Romania while he was alive and being an artist in France? Like, was he often, or like, was he in good contacts with the country, or was he mainly?
I think before the war, there has been contact. So in the interwar period, he was corresponding with the Romanian avant-garde. He was published in different avant-garde magazines, so he was in contact with this, high-end avant-garde people. But the issue that is unclear is after the change of regime, so after the war, as I mentioned, because there was specific interest in socialist realism, they didn't reach out to him after this, until the 80th birthday exhibition, but it was kind of too late. But also there are no evidence, as I mentioned, that the Romanian government rejected his legacy. So there's probably the truth is in between.
Thank you so much for the presentation. You mentioned that the walk that Brancusi took from Romania to France most likely didn't happen. In your research, did you actually find some concrete evidence that
I think it was something about the train he took from Vienna to Paris, because he fell ill, if I remember well, in Vienna. And then he stayed there for some time to recover, and then apparently he traveled by train. But I think maybe we should research a little bit more. But also I like this story about walking to Paris. I mean, it's painful, and it reminds us, how far we were from the center, but also what has changed, now. That's something that we have to meditate on. Okay, so thank you for your attention, and